Hello, McPherson County. So this video is I'm going to summarize the commissioner meetings of 30 December and 6 January. I'm going to let you know about a meeting that transpired, a Zoom call that transpired with our McPherson County Attorney General candidate. And then I'm gonna have a revelation at the end. Don't miss this video. If you want to fast forward it to the end, that works out too. If you want to go that way, but I want to single out a commissioner. I've got some words for the individual. So I've been backlogged. We had since the last time I did video, we had Maduro from the illegal president from Venezuela that was arrested. So I've done a video on that. The Minneapolis stuff. Wow, Minneapolis is totally out of control. I've done a video on that. Actually, a couple of videos that the fraud in particular, one of those too. Plus a host of other things that are happening in the country. And President Trump, he is the man he's incredible. He's throwing stuff out there left and right. He knows the activists, DNC paid activist judges are gonna generate lawfare to try and stop him along the way, but he keeps pushing them out, pushing all the ideas out. The man is a machine. There's no doubt he's a machine. Also went through all the current bills that our state legislators are starting to go through as of 2 days ago. The new session opened up. Went through those and I sorted out the bad ones, the ones that I thought were bad, and the ones that I thought were good. The good ones, two of the good ones that I pointed out to the legislators, because I sent them an email about them, is HB 1004. That is the recall of county commissioners. I hope that one gets passed. We need to get rid of these commissioners that broke state law by rejecting petitions. Another one out there is SB 66. That one's to get rid of the vote tabulating machines. Those need to go away. Again, our county commissioners already have the authority under state law to get rid of them, but they refuse to do so. So hopefully that one will get passed as well. Three of the bad ones that I reported was HB 1005, sales tax exemption for AI data centers. I have an issue in general with incentivizing, bribing, giving benefits, however you want to call it, to businesses coming into the state. If coming into this great state doesn't entice a business enough, I don't see any reason to bribe them. And definitely not an AI data center, because they do nothing for the state. All they do, I've talked about this before, all they do is collect personal data of individuals and send it out to the highest bidder. They don't hire a bunch of people. The centers are bad for the environment. The centers potentially and inadvertently raise the utility costs of the citizens in the communities that they've got their center parked to. So bribing them, giving them tax exemptions, no, I don't think so. SB 76, transfer of unobligated funds to allow loans to airports. This was proposed by the governor. If you're not aware, John Hanson, in a meet and greet in Roscoe around 3 weeks ago, and before that, he's in a call to the citizens, has proposed that The unobligated funds are around $120 million. Instead of giving loans to airports, he would like that money to go to the counties to give property tax breaks to the citizens. I have to agree with that. That's our money. Those unobligated funds are our money. I see no reason to give out loans to airports. That's what banks are for. We have to go through banks to get loans. So should the airports. Let's see, then SB 29 through SB 34. These are all proposed by the Secretary of State, and I have asked the legislators to scrutinize and read these bills carefully. She has a tendency to slip stuff into the bills that mess with our election integrity. She is renowned. As of last year, if you're not aware, she tried to introduce bills that basically were trying to change our election laws for the bad. She has no credence. I'm hoping that this year she will be replaced by Heather Baxter, who's running against her. She needs to go away. Okay, so I took the time. I didn't listen to the videos. I just printed out the notes, the minutes from December 30th and January 6th commissioner meetings. So I'm just going to summarize the stuff to you. If you've not listened to the videos, if you've not read the minutes, I'll summarize the stuff that stuck out to me. Excuse me, the most. For the December 30th meeting, that was primarily end of year stuff, going over bills that were paid for the year, things like that. One thing that stuck out is we spent $510. Yeah, I know it's only $510, right? But nickel and dime us to death on Taliaferro Law, court-appointed attorney. Commissioners can explain it to me if they want to. I don't understand why we spent that when we have a state's attorney that should be handling all of our stuff. That was rather odd. There's more discussion on the courthouse maintenance. That's ongoing. They went over a bridge inspection report. The county is responsible for 5 bridges, from what I understand, and it is required by the federal government for those bridges to be inspected every 2 years. And according to the inspections, the 5 bridges are still in good shape. So that's a good thing. Then they voted on another patrol vehicle for the sheriff's department to the tune of $49,201. And then also Richard Kolb, he resigned from the zoning board after 45 years of service. Wow, that's a long time. Anyway, in the January 6th meeting, Mike Lopke was selected and voted in to take his place. And that's primarily what I got out of the December 30th meeting. Again, like I said, most of it's end of year stuff. January 6th meeting. This meeting was primarily to get the wheels rolling for the new year. They commissioners appointed with various roles such as court security, weed board, 9/11 board. They go in and they have to renominate and divvy out the responsibilities to the commissioners. So most of that meeting dealt with that. There were bids that were opened on bulk fuel deliveries. Gene's Oil got the contract for ethanol in Leola. Agtegra got it for bulk unleaded for Eureka and Leola. And CHS got the bulk delivery for diesel. CHS also got the contract for propane at the courthouse. They talked about speed and weight limits on certain county asphalt roads. is now going to be 40 miles per hour with a 80,000 pound gross weight limit. That's going to be the new limitations. There was discussion and they voted on Resolution 26-3, zoning permit application fees. Lots of different ones out there. I won't go through all of them. If you're interested, you can go ahead into the website and read those. They voted on Resolution 26-4, establishing planning and zoning. I can't talk today. Meeting dates and fees. Zoning board must meet 4 times a year. At least 4 times a year, and it's usually January, April, July, and October, and they meet on the 3rd Tuesday of the month. Also, they will be receiving $600 per meeting. There was a discussion and vote on Resolution 26-5, precinct boundaries. When this was brought out in previous meetings, the auditor was talking about reducing the voting precincts from 4 to 3. At first, I thought this was a good idea because, according to the auditor, it was going to cut down on costs and save us money, and that's always a good thing, saving money for the taxpayer. But after I thought about it, after I did the video that I had mentioned it, something didn't smell right. It didn't smell pass the smell test. Anyway, the commissioners voted to keep the 4 precincts. Good job. Precinct 1 and 2 will vote at the Leola Courthouse. Precincts 3 and 4 will vote at the newly purchased building for over $100,000 that we have 2 people working in. Emergency management, there was discussion. I brought this up, I believe, in one of the other videos. There was discussion about teaming up with Brown County's emergency management, but it cost the county an additional $30,000 to $40,000 a year for that, and we still would have had to have provided a body for the team along with a vehicle. Proposal was thrown out there by Sheriff Ackerman to have him and the deputies continue the service at $17,000 per year, and with the Sheriff Ackerman receiving $5,000 a year for this service. The emergency management thing just doesn't seem up to par with me. I haven't quite figured it out. There's something that almost seems that it could be handled differently. I haven't put my finger on it yet. I might be wrong, but it just seems, the way it's being handled seems a little odd. But I'll think about it some more. And I could just be, the cynical part of me is just coming out. But we'll see. Might be nothing. They also voted to authorize $25,000 payment for the Brown County jail contract. I guess it has something to do. We're paying Brown County for us to bring our criminals there for processing. It was also approved to sign the Edmonds County 2026 jail housing contract. Doesn't mention a dollar amount, so it can't help you out there, but I suppose it has something to do with, in the event that Brown County is full, then we take our criminals to the new jail in Ipswich. I can only assume that's what it's about. Highway department stuff was discussed. They've now decided to they have these an abundant amount of surplus steel posts, and they've discussed this before, but they've decided to drop the price of the steel posts from $5 to $4 a post, and then they approved some wages for seasonal part-time employees. And then the other normal stuff about equipment, whether it needs to be repaired or replaced or purchased, new equipment purchased, things like that. They also voted to adopt a 2.5% raise for all employees except the state's attorney. Good. I like that one. I like that one. Voted on pay rates and travel reimbursement for local emergency planning committee. They're going to be getting $30 per meeting and mileage reimbursed. The zoning board members are to be paid $100 per meeting and mileage reimbursed. The weed board, that's interesting. The weed board, $30 per meeting, $100 per day for conference, district meeting, agenda days, and mileage reimbursed. And then they also set the fee for the coroner at $250 per body, and they get their mileage reimbursed as well. They also voted on following the state travel reimbursement rates for 2026. The following officers and employees to get mileage reimbursed to come to the courthouse for meetings, office hours in court. Those would be the commissioners would get reimbursed, the veteran service officer would get reimbursed, and the state's attorney would get reimbursed. I don't know why we're doing mileage reimbursements for those individuals. I mean, we have employees that come to work every day. Is their mileage figured into their salaries? But they don't get mileage reimbursements, and they come every day. Maybe because they come every day, it would cost too much. I don't know. I don't understand the logic in that when you're already paying commissioners and the VSO and the state's attorney, and then mileage on top of it yet. Again, I could be blowing things out of proportion, but that just seems odd. Let's see. They also voted on longevity pay and employee benefits. Full benefits are offered to all elected officials and regular full-time employees. Eligible employees who have their own health insurance will be reimbursed $600 a month after, of course, they prove that they have other insurance. They voted on comp time, and that's now set at no more than 30 hours per year. They voted on salaries of officers and employees. I'm not going to get into those because it's a long list, and I don't want to hold you up too much. But if you're interested in seeing who's getting paid what, you can definitely go into the minutes online, and it's all listed there. Some of those, I have to admit, some of those are interesting, very interesting. And then again on for the January 6th meeting, they discussed more courthouse maintenance. Apparently the boiler is still having issues. Hopefully they can get it fixed. I know it's ancient. We'll see. Continued discussions about the roof house door in the courthouse and above the third floor there, and parking lot shed. Always a lot of discussion about those two items for some reason. From what I understand, for the shed, they did go out for quotes or bids on that. There was one received, but it just the amount was just for the materials. It didn't introduce the labor costs, and so they tabled that. More to come, I'm sure. And so that's primarily my summarization of the two meetings. Again, you're more than welcome to go in and read the January 6th one. There's, the fees and everything like that. There's a whole bunch more in there. But again, for time's sake, I'm not going to hold you in any longer on discussing that. Also on the January 8th, We listened. There was a Zoom call for the GOP groups. If you're not aware, Mr. Austin Huffman is running for Attorney General of the state, and there was a Zoom call talking to like I said, to the GOP group, basically presenting his case as to why he should be the Attorney General. He talked a lot about helping out the reservations, all the drugs flowing through the reservations. Excuse me. He was concerned about recidivism rates, and what can be done about that. And also gave his expose on the counties that appear to be shrinking instead of growing. This was all after he presented us with his resume, which took up probably about at least 25 minutes of the Zoom call. So anyway, the reservations, the recidivism rates, and the counties shrinking instead of growing, all of those issues are very concerning. There's no doubt about that, but I don't believe it should be the concern of an attorney general. I believe that the attorney general's only concern is about putting bad people in jail. It almost sounded like he was applying for a social services position. Now, something I didn't mention, even though I have issues with our state's attorney, I did go into this meeting to listen objectively. He has the right to run for office, and so I wanted to listen to what he had to say. But what I'm presenting to you now is what I got out of the meeting. Mr. Huffman did mention that one things that he mentioned was about pedophiles, and that they need to basically, how can I put it? This is one thing I agree with him on. Pedophiles need to no longer exist, no longer need to breathe oxygen. I agree with him on that one. He truly believes in holding people accountable, which I found interesting because, which I agree with. I believe all people that break the law should be held accountable. There's no doubt about that. But I found that an interesting statement when it was him that was sitting right next to commissioners that were breaking the law when they rejected petitions. I believe he said he has participated in 2 court cases. One he won and one he lost. We did go into question period time. He was challenged about complaints against him. He said that he did comment that there have been 2 filed against him, but both of them were found not to be justified. The questioner said that as far as he knows, there's still one out there, another complaint out there about him, which Mr. Huffman didn't disagree with, but before they could continue the debate about it, the host cut them off, cut the discussion off, and they moved on to another question. The complaint was not specified, so that is interesting to see to hear or see what that was all about. Even though I'm not going to lie, even though I would like the state's attorney to move on to bigger and better things and leave McPherson County, I don't believe that Mr. Huffman has the experience or the right mindset from what he presented to us, and this is objective analysis. I don't believe he has the experience or the right mindset to be the state attorney general. That's just my take. Okay, so finally, to end this video, I want to, this is my revelation, I want to call out a county commissioner. And the county commissioner I want to call out is Mr. Newharth. I've heard through the grapevine, Mr. Newharth, that an individual in McPherson County made comment to my latest video in which I mentioned yet again the breaking of state law 7-18A-13, in which 4 commissioners during that time rejected petitions, election integrity petitions. From what I understand through the grapevine, this individual made a comment on that was presented in my video, and you had issues with that. Now, I'm going to point out right now that I have not been instructed, I have not been asked to mention this. This is on my own. And the reason why I'm doing that, I will be pointing out here shortly. But again, this is on me. This is what I do. If I see things like this happening, I just can't let it stand. That's just my nature. So anyway, this individual made a comment based on my video regarding the rejection of the petitions, and you didn't like that. Now, I don't know if you are intimidated by this individual. I do know this individual is more intelligent than you are, based on what I've seen, how you perform at the commissioners' meetings. So I don't know if you're intimidated by the individual or what particularly your issue was. But from what I understand, after you either were told about this comment or saw the comment, you immediately proceeded to call this individual numerous times, which you can do. You have every right to do that. When you did not get a hold of this individual, then you proceeded to call members of this individual's family. I guess you have the right to do that, but it seems odd to me that you would. When this individual finally accepted one of your phone calls, again, you have the First Amendment right to express your views, as well they do. But the way you went about it, from what I understand, was not correct. It was very unprofessional. You went into a tirade. You went into what I call verbal harassment of this individual. From what I understand, there was numerous F-bombs dropped in the conversation. And it appears that you went on the attack. That's the problem I have with what you did. Again, you have every right to express your opinion, as they do, as anyone does. But when you go after and attack an individual in the county, that will raise my attention. I have told the city council members of Ipswich, when I did my 13 videos on them, that if they have any issues with my videos, they could feel free to reach out to me and we can debate the issue that they have a problem with. None of them stood up. None of them came forward. I have also, in my videos, to you and other county commissioners, if you believe that what I'm putting on my videos is wrong, or if you have some issues with what I put on my video, feel free to reach out to me. I will debate you on the issues. The fact of the matter remains, Commissioner Neuharth, whether you like it or not, and I know you know this, when you and 3 others rejected the petitions of the electors last year, or 2024 actually, you broke the law. There's no two ways around it. 7-18A-13 tells you specifically that you have to accept the petitions of the citizens and you have to put it out to a vote of the people. And you and 3 others, decided that you were going to take the advice of the state's attorney and reject the petitions based on potential lawsuits from the ACLU or somebody else. If you have issues with my videos, give me a call. Or get in your vehicle and come visit me. I only live about 5 miles from you. BYOB, since I don't drink, and we'll sit down and discuss the issues. What you did was unprofessional and uncalled for. I'll leave it at that. Wasn't cool. You've done this before, and I haven't called you out on it, but you do this in the meetings. There's video where you set the time limits for people to comment. You interfered with a comment during my comment period, and you also did not allow an elderly lady to express her comment in one of the meetings. You have, I don't know, you have this arrogant attitude about you when it comes to your electors. I hope that changes. Anyway, enough on that. That is all I have for now. McPherson County, hopefully I won't get behind in these meetings. Like to keep staying. I like to stay on top of things. I like to keep our commissioners in lockstep. But there's a lot going on. Anyway, have a good day. Have a good week. Have a good month. Until next time.